Okay, I'm not sure what happened to the other one, so hopefully those have closed off and I'll have to go back to my description box and hopefully people find me in this one. Ah, the joys of technology. So I'm just going to wait a few minutes because for some reason it didn't want to work the way it was supposed to. Nope. There goes the, hey, JP. Yeah, it took forever. It was looping on the other screen. Then it opened because I had a different window. And then I'm like, hi, Vay. How are you doing? I've lost two other people, so hopefully those other lives should be shut down. Not too bad. Better. It's been a bit of a crazy kind of week, but at least I got my videos out, which was better. Monday was kind of a mood down in the dumps, way too achy kind of day, but thankfully we've had some more sun here and the weather's improving, and slowly but surely I'm hoping things will chill out with my back. I was very excited. I got caught up with Goodreads finally the other day. So woohoo, I'm past 107 books this year, so way beyond the goal I set. That was pretty exciting. So yeah, and I finished off several books, some that I'll be talking about today. And yeah, just kind of trying to figure out where I'm going and what I'm planning for 2024 with the channel. Yes, it's another kind of chilly day. So the awesome thing about living with chronic pain is you dress for comfort and warmth. So yes, I've got my nice, I think you call them jumpers. We call them sweaters. So I'm nice and bundled up, which is good. It looks like, sadly, we've lost the other two, or they had just popped in and out and decided not to stay. It's always so hard to tell with a live stream, and especially when you end up getting technical difficulties as you start, for sure. But so we'll see if others go. If not, it'll just be you and me, which is always a nice time. We manage to cover a ton of stuff as we go. And for now, I'm still using YouTube, so I don't think I can do things too fancy. When my other thing was messing around, I had other options, but that's okay. It's all good. But so this past week, I got StreamYard because it turns out it wasn't whatever I was checking a while ago or near as bad or intrusive as I thought it was going to be. And it's basically like Zoom. So you can have a private chat with somebody. Yeah, maybe they will. That would be cool. I let Doof Doof know what time I was going live today, but I'm not sure what time it is for her in Australia. It might, yeah, I don't know. I'm having a mind fart with trying to do the different time connections, but I did have a chance to talk to Karen using StreamYard just in a private chat. So that was kind of cool, and figuring out, oh, I just have to move my pillow, figuring out different things that you can do with that, and inviting guests in, and having You can put up pictures or have little video clips and stuff. So I think I'll wait till maybe January to start doing the live streams using StreamYard because there's a lot of different things to learn. And like so many other things, there's tons of videos I can watch on YouTube, and StreamYard has their own channel. So I'm going to be watching that over the next few weeks and getting ideas and what to do. They've got cool backgrounds, but I kind of like having my books, and I've got my little gnome up here that's lit up. I'm going to be redoing the top of the shelf and deciding. I have my one, oh, where is she? I have my one Christmas decoration. I think this is a piece by Anne Stokes from one of hers. We used to have a store here called Green Earth, and I loved it because I always had so many different things. So this beautiful angel, and she's holding the crystal. And of course, we have the star up here. And I just love it. And that's my Christmas decoration. It's safe. I don't have my kitties bumping into it. And of course, she sits out all year because I'm not really into spending hours of putting stuff up and decorating and then spending hours taking it down. That's just me. But yeah, so we'll kind of see. And I was going to stick with, yeah, I saw that actually. With Dan, I saw his video for the plans for 2024, and I'm really looking forward to that because again, it's a chance to see the beautiful Welsh countryside, and he does such a great job of editing. There we go. That might be a little better. He does such a great job of editing, and I love being able to see the countryside. I mean, it's just incredible. The beautiful mountains, the open country. So, yeah, he's got some exciting things coming up, and I see he's looking at going back to, I think, just basically doing some of the top 5 channel time debunks. And I've got a few new things coming up for 2024 as well. I've got a series that I'm planning on doing and calling it Hoax or Holy Grail. And that will be my idea right now is starting with the Fox sisters and then moving forward throughout like different paranormal subjects, topics, and that type of thing. So it'll cover some books, it'll cover maybe some different YouTube channels, different people who have been known throughout the paranormal. And then, of course, still continuing on with my book summaries and the nature clips, and of course, the Friday cat videos, which seem to be popular. And yes, I still have Benny Hill in my head. And it's funny because now, since I've seen Tiki running back and forth, I keep thinking Benny Hill when I'm seeing her running. Oh, thanks. And yeah, they are definite. The two of them are definitely like a breath of fresh air. And I've been definitely I've been more careful about what I've been watching, which has been helpful and focusing on different things. And it's funny because since I finished, and I was just texting with a friend of mine this morning, since I finished my career and confidence board, it's kind of interesting the big shift that has happened since Monday in particular. We've maybe those kind of tales. We'll have to see where it kind of leads. But yeah, so with this board, it's been funny. There's been different connections, like I say, the StreamYard, and having a lovely chat and getting to know Karen. Um, Deciding to go ahead with this Hoax or Holy Grail series. I don't know if I'll do the other one because there's so much to the Da Vinci Code, and I don't know if I really want to commit to just sticking to that, because it isn't that the topic doesn't interest me. There's just parts of it that really agitate me. And yesterday I was editing, I finally read over the occult project that I did back in the late 1970s when I was in grade 13. And it was funny because I read it a few weeks ago and then filmed reading it. It's kind of the nice thing. I could read the whole thing. It's my own work. I didn't have to stress or worry about copyright. So as I was reading through it before I filmed it, it was like, wow, it's amazing how many of these questions still haven't been answered. You know, there are ghosts or spirits real? We still don't know. There's been nothing definitely captured one way or the other. Um, the different thing about Ouija boards, and I mean, people have so many different ideas, between they're just a toy, it's no big deal, to their portals and there's dangerous things coming through, UFOs or UAPs as they're called now. Still no definitive answers on that. One page made me laugh because as I was reading it, I commented in my paper that, well, you know, maybe by the year 2000, we'll have answers, which, I mean, then was 20 years from when I'd written the paper. Here we are in 2023, and those questions still haven't been answered. It's still up to who knows kind of thing. And I'd thought of the Hoax Holy Grail series prior to that. So I guess in one way there was kind of a benefit to some different things going on at various channels, what have you, because that's what got me thinking about maybe that's, you know, something that I could do. And I enjoy research. I'm pulling my information together anyway, so it would just lend itself to an episode. So yeah, thinking about that. I've been asked by another content creator to appear on their live streams in 2024, so that's kind of cool and exciting. For someone who just a few months ago wasn't even thinking of doing a live stream and being in front of the camera live, now I've been asked to be a guest on another channel. So I'm like, hey, there's definitely something to this making a vision board and things starting to click into place when you're opened up to it. Yeah, see, I agree. Um, Da Vinci would be so, oh, see, so that's where I was going, would be so complex because you've got, well, not only Da Vinci himself, but then you get into the Masons and the Templars and all the stuff over the past and the different beliefs and different things humans have done to each other. And, you know, you've got the Priory of Zion and ancient Egypt and the different parts of the Bible. And it just, that's why I call it, having been on the Da Vinci spiral. I think I'm up to something like, I know for sure I've read at least 50 books that all kind of connect into that particular topic or have spun off from it. I still have one of the Lawrence Gardner books that I have to reread because I really enjoyed his writing, and his realm of the ring lords is fascinating. And what I've been starting to do with some of the books is, well, I write I'm trying to get my notes and that done, and then I need to transfer some of that to timelines and files. But I find the mind webs are a great way to summarize chapters. So I think I'm going to start doing that, and then it'll be easier to pull that to make different episodes. And it's funny, I actually owe Lee a thank you because remember I said I had those videos done for Vlad Zepesh, and then I'd get off on the, hey JD, welcome. We are doing well, and I'm so glad you could join us and listening in. Thanks. But yeah, I do owe Lee a thank you because having scrapped the two, trying to get those videos done, I've since finished reading A Brief History of Vampires, a book I hadn't quite read yet. And it turns out that it's excellent that I waited because Brief History of Vampires actually has a lot more up-to-date detail and information about Vlad, and he refers back to the In Search of Dracula book that I had been talking about when I'd made the other videos. So now I have an extra resource and a more up-to-date resource. So I'm going to sit and pull all that information together between Dracula, Carmilla, Brief History, and In Search of, to pull things together to do that video in terms of fictional vampires and then the real Vlad Sepesh and ideas about, what was going on with that time period and how that all played out. So some good things definitely in the works that hopefully others will enjoy as well. And yeah, so, just some different things, viewing ideas for 2024 and new adventures and discovering. Actually, I've found a few new things in Canva. I still just use the free version because it does kind of what I need and I have access to what I need on that. But looking at some of the background, so I might start changing a bit of that when I'm doing the book summaries. So some will still be with me in the chair with the bookcase behind me. Some might be the background and different images. I have a video that I need to finish editing right now on the Franklin expedition, and I may have to rework that. And this came up with the video I just edited for me reading my occult project from the late 1970s. Because I taped them out here in the living room and my living room window faces the south, unfortunately, what happened is as the sun was coming in and out, because I didn't want to close the curtain because then it gets too dark. But then parts of the video get bright, other parts get dark. So I'm going to have to really play around. Oh, those are the kitty clippers. They just, yeah, I was noticing that too. But they're just handy to keep the kitty clippers in there. And then I have a bookmark behind. But you're right. Oh, and it's funny because as I was chatting with somebody the other day and I thought of you, JP. I've got this years ago. It's a Capricorn. It's actually from a company here in London. I can't think of their name right now. This was something else that I'd found at Green Earth. Sadly, the store closed 5 or so years ago because of online shopping. They couldn't compete, and even though they had their own online store. But I loved going in there because you would find so many different unique pieces like this with Capricorn and my Anne Stokes. And I've got a few different Anne Stokes pieces. I love her work. And I'll actually feature her one time because I have a couple of dragon books that have, and fantasy art books that have a lot of her work. She's an incredible artist. I just love, and they certainly do, JP. I love her work and her style, and they're just so beautiful. But yeah, and unfortunately, because this went kablooey, I had everything written about the books I was going to talk about today. So yeah, the joys of technology. But I this time got smart, so I have everything I wanted to talk about right here at my fingertips in a nice handy little bucket. Um, the first one that I did want to talk about, and I finished reading this week, I mentioned it last week, is 21 Rituals to Change Your Life. And this is by Teresa Cheung. And I'm starting this on Monday. So, what I did, and what I typically do with this type of book, is I'll read it from front to back first, partly because there have been so many books over the years that I've come across, and I've read them and they've sounded great and I'm really into them. And then I get partway through or near the end, and then it's like, what? Not, yeah, no, not doing that. So now what I do is read the entire book front to back first to make sure that it's something that resonates and fits and I'm on board with. And I have to say, not only was this an easy read, because she talks about each point and then there's different activities that you do. The beauty of following her 21 rituals, so there are 7 things you do every morning, 7 things you do every afternoon, and 7 things you do every evening. But you don't have to buy equipment, you don't have to get anything special, and the majority of things that you do take very little time. So it's more about building, she calls them rituals, you could also call them routines, and some of the things I already do anyway, so it makes it that much easier to follow. So for example, and she's got handy, let's see if I can find, she's got handy little summaries. Okay, there's 8. So for the morning, she's got a handy little checklist, and then same for your afternoon and evening. So the morning ones, the first step is to wake up a little bit earlier. So, and it doesn't have to be, and again, you have to base it on your own schedule and what's going to work. So it's not that you have to wake up an hour earlier or whatever. It's more to have that quiet time in the morning to be a little more productive or start your day a little bit earlier. So focusing on what's going to work best for you. Then step 2, which for me is easy because I don't keep a cell phone in my bedroom. But her step 2 was, instead of reaching for your phone as soon as you wake up, do a nice stretch before you get out of bed. For me, again, that one's easy because 1, I have to stretch to make sure I can move before I get out of bed. And 2, I don't keep a cell phone in my bedroom. The only electronics we have in our room is the humidifier and an alarm clock. That's it. No TV, no cell phones allowed. It's for rest and relaxation, not electronics and stuff. Number 3 was basically about just asking yourself a simple question about heading forward with your day. So again, focusing on getting yourself into what am I looking forward to today? What's going to make this a great day? Oh, I hate daylight savings time. It drives me crazy. I wish we would get rid of it, actually. I get that it's about using the daytime better, but it throws things out of kilter. maybe because I'm also a night owl, so it means, the stars are gone sooner. But then you have to remember, okay, and hope everyone else is staying on track with now we're all an hour ahead, now we're all an hour behind. Because I have fur babies, they're looking at us like, hello, dinner time, what's happening? Because they don't get daylight savings time. But I do get it from the point of, because for some people with the sunlight, and I agree. I mean, I definitely notice when it's been cloudy for a while, that's when my mood goes down the blah. And I know it's the clouds and the lack of sun, but just even with my positive thinking board, it's kind of hard to pull yourself up and keep going. Yeah, seasonal affective disorder, exactly. But yeah, so I'm surprised because here we're actually trying to get rid of daylight savings time. I think there are two states because of the way the time zone goes between Canada and the US. Um, there's a couple of states that have to agree with it before that would be eliminated here, and then you have to figure out whether the rest of Canada is doing it or not. So, yeah. And I mean, again, then that impacts other time zones and other countries. There's a whole everything there. It's so interconnected and there's such a spiral to it. But yeah, and then step 4 is just breathing. So you do some deep breaths. Again, doesn't require anything extra. Step 5 is to smile at yourself in the mirror. So in the morning, I mean, people are brushing their hair, brushing their teeth, washing their face. So you can take those few seconds of just, giving yourself some good self-talk, appreciate yourself, smile at yourself. Step number 6 is it's called See the Finish Line. And I'm thinking that's about maybe looking at a project that's done. And then number 7 is tuning in. So just, having some music that puts you in a happy place or a good space and get you humming along while you're having your coffee. So, like I say, the steps that she has in this book don't cost anything to do. Most of them just take a matter of seconds, maybe a minute or two at the most. What she recommends is doing it for 21 days. So you do it for 3 weeks, start to finish, all the steps, and then hopefully you're kind of chugging along in a better headspace, being a bit more productive, even when there's blips in the road, because there always is. No matter how many of these things you put into place or have cues or different things around either your home or your workspace, the reality of being human is we're all going to have a blah day. An event comes up we have no control over. And these types of things just kind of help, I find anyway, get through those difficult times a bit easier or a bit quicker. Because it isn't about ignoring when things get tough or getting down on ourselves when we've had a bad day, because we all have them. It's about having certain steps and certain tools to help us get through those challenging times and being able to speak up for ourselves if we need to walk away from a situation or if we need to take a breath before we deal with the situation, that type of thing. So, this is definitely a book that I highly recommend. And like I say, I'm going to be starting this for myself on Monday because there were a number of things like playing music, all of that, the steps at night, which I do in a different order. So for myself, what I do every night before I go to sleep, and I started this probably 3 months back, and it may have come up from another book I read or just a thought I had, because I do try to focus on gratitude and daily blessings. So what I decided, because I've always had insomnia from like knee-high to a grasshopper, and part of that's because I have busy brain. I always play the day over and over. What did I do? What didn't I do? What could I have done differently? What have you? And so what I do now every night is I play through the day, but I look at it with gratitude and blessings. What did I see? So, did I get to see a cardinal or one of the squirrels? Did I get to visit with one of the pharaohs? What went really well? So I look at all the blessings throughout the day. Was I cuddling with Sina? Did one of my videos do well? Did I get a really nice comment from someone? What did I get done in terms of the house? Like my bookcase maybe flowed really well and got organized. So I'm not looking for big, huge, my husband won Lotto Max types of things. I'm just going through the day and being grateful for all the things that came up. And then I just say, thank you to the universe for all the blessings, the support, the guidance throughout the day. The next step that I do, which is funny because it's another step that she suggested here, is looking towards the next day so that you're planning ahead and being positive and optimistic about how that goes. So after I've done my gratitude and blessing exercise, the next thing I do is ask for guidance and support tomorrow. I think about the different activities that I want to do or what I have planned, and then I say thank you, and then I fall asleep. And in 3 months that I've been doing that, rarely have I had insomnia. I just nicely drift off, no problem. So like I say, following through with this, I'm looking forward to, you know, things just being a little brighter, a little better, and it doesn't hurt to tweak and modify our routines and make it better for ourselves. So I'm really glad that I read this book this past week, and that's something I'll be putting into effect. Now, the funny thing, because she also has quotes throughout the book that stand out, and I'll be doing a more in-depth video on that book as well. The other book that I finished this week was Rituals for Self-Care, and this is from the Modern Guides to Ancient Wisdom. And I mentioned this last week, and this book really stood out for me because the very first quote says, "Any ritual is an opportunity for transformation." And that quote is by Starhawk, one of my favorite authors. I read her book, The Spiral Dance, years ago, and I really enjoy her work and her writing. The funny thing is, when I was reading 21 Rituals to Change Your Life the other day, she also has that quote by Starhawk in her book, which is fascinating because Starhawk is a pagan writer. She refers to herself as a witch, and that is huge, seeing her quoted in 2 books by other people, because it means that not only is she being recognized, she's a huge environmental activist as well. She's an amazing woman, has taught courses at university for years, but it's lovely to see her work and her being recognized for what she has to offer. She's very inspirational. I have a couple of her other books. This particular book is, hey JD. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, in the countryside. That's awesome. That's lovely. Yeah, we only have robins here in the spring and a bit of the summer. I'm in southwestern Ontario. And So we only have robins for a little bit. Some will stay depending on the food source, but most migrate off. And for us, when we see the robin in the spring, it's a sign that spring has finally arrived. But that's lovely to be able to visit with a robin in the morning. A friend of mine was telling me her daughter actually has a little, I think it's a squirrel, who comes to her door and waits for nuts or apples, or her window actually, and kind of taps on the window like, it's time for you to get up and feed me now. I love stories like that. It's awesome. I get to see the birds down at my bird feeder, but I've never had any come up to my hand. So that's really an amazing story. I love that. But yeah, so the rituals for self-care is different than 21 rituals. This is more to be followed in a set order. And it's funny, she does say, and she's got a website, and to get in touch with her, let her know how it went, but let her know after you've stuck with the 21 days. Now, the other thing she says is if you forget any of the things, then the next day you start back at day one. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Might be a little too rigid for me, but we'll see. The rituals for self care, there's life with intention, purpose, and clarity, and harness the power of ritual to help you get there. Here are 50 rituals designed for everyday life, inspired by ancient traditions, chosen and followed by you. Where you place your attention matters. Choose mindfully, and you will manifest the life you want. She's got some great ideas, and in this case, and I say she, I'm not, they don't have the name of an author. So someone had edited and they come up with a whole variety of different things. So this isn't so much to be done in a certain order or sequence. It's more about picking and choosing and going by maybe what you need that day. So it's a handy little reference. There's different things like giving yourself a foot massage, making time for playtime. And that reminded me of Julia Cameron's Artist Way and scheduling a play date. So, what you do is each week you pick a set time, and that's strictly for fun. Whether you do it by yourself or with someone else, it could be your time to do some coloring, it may be time to go for a walk. You can schedule different things, different weeks. The important thing is making it about you and having fun and relaxing while you're doing it. She's got about a sacred tea ceremony. So instead of just making your tea, you make it again. You're very mindful about when the water's boiling and pouring the tea and enjoying the taste. And maybe you sit out on your deck and watch nature. So it isn't just a cup of tea, it's a whole experience and calming event with tea. You know, you can set intentions. So kind of like I did with my career and confidence board. As you're setting it up, you're thinking of your goals and, asking the universe for what you want, this or something better. Because I think it's important to have goals, have ideas, but then don't limit how the universe can bring that to you, because we may have an idea in mind, but there may be something actually even better or more positive that brings that goal into place. Like I think of The Alchemist. And if you've read that and you know Santiago's journey, and he was looking for something specific at a set location, but throughout his journey, he met other people, he learned other skills, he found things he wasn't looking for that were of huge benefit and helped him along his path and along his road. So it's important to have goals and a focus, but to also be aware of what we're coming across in our path. But so yeah, this is a great book, and again, I'll go through this more in detail. I'll probably do these two together on a video, but there's a lot of really good ideas and again, easy to do things, and it doesn't some may require you purchasing things like Epsom salts if you're doing some of the bath things. Oh, here's one. Um, Burning right for healing. So you write down if there's some challenging, difficult things, you write it down and you burn the paper. So of course you have to be careful about, having a fireproof or safe place to do that. One thing that I've done, partly because I live in the city, but one thing that I've done instead of burning it is I put it through the shredder. So I'll write down if something's happened or if there's something or someone I need to release. And it's amazing how therapeutic it is to just see that paper going brrr, and then you're kind of done with it. You just let it go. So there's a few different ways of doing that. And again, everyone needs to find what works best for them. Um, this one, and I never try and say that name. It's Hawaiian. I just know I wouldn't pronounce it properly. And basically, it's 4 simple words of forgiving yourself and letting something go and then moving on with whatever else you're doing. The other neat thing with this book is she has affirmations on all the pages. So whether you're doing the exercise or you need an affirmation and ideas, there's a lot of great benefit to this particular book. And I really enjoyed finishing and reading that. And it's funny, like I say, how it connected. They both had that quote from Starhawk. I'm just looking here at um, which book next. This one, The Empath Survival Guide, and it's Life Strategies for Sensitive People. And this is by Judith Orloff. Now, this one I first borrowed from my public library, and I read it and I really enjoyed it. And it was kind of funny. I thought, well, maybe I'll buy it. And then I thought, oh, I can always borrow it again if I want to get some of the quotes. Because what she has at the end of each chapter, there we go. What she has at the end of each chapter is an affirmation that relates to what she was talking about. So whether it's about parenting empathetic children, taking care of yourself, you know, protection if you're around a lot of energy vampires. I'm not sure, JP. Might have been. I'm just reading the rest of Oh, yeah, see, the robins would definitely be there for the worms. They love when it rains here and there. I always worry when we have dry weather about the robins for sure. But so yeah, she talks about, the self. She talks about addictions. She mentions 12-step programs because a number of empaths, some people call them highly sensitives, also tend to get into issues with addictions because they're trying to block or find a way to mind fart. They're trying to shut down everything that's coming in. So sometimes, unfortunately, that means if and especially if they're not aware that they're empathic. They just know that they feel all this stuff and trying to find a way to get less of it coming in. So both Judith Orloff and Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way, talk about the 12-step program. So 12-step Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, they talk about the higher power. Some people refer to that as God, some call creative force, some say divinity. So identifying and recognizing what it is for you and making use of that. This book, first, I guess I should say empaths. Some people think that means just recognizing or feeling connected to other people. But it literally for empaths means if they're around somebody who's angry, stressed, happy, excited, the empath will literally feel that as if they're happy, angry, or sad. And that can get very confusing, especially for children, because some days it's hard to recognize, am I feeling this or am I picking this up from somebody else? So it's very important, especially if you know a child is empathic, to help them in terms of doing things like white light to recognize what's they're feeling an emotion and what are they picking up from other people. As adults, we need some quiet time, we need some downtime, so that may be doing things like listening to music. The play date could be coloring, could be doing crafts and things. So she has a lot of great ideas. And personally, I don't think this is something that just an empath would benefit from reading. She has a lot of great ideas about taking care of yourself, being kind to yourself, speaking up for yourself when you need some quiet time, or, you know, being in a relationship and speaking openly and honestly together about what it is you both need in the relationship. Maybe one wants to go out more, one not so much. So, how do you work out that compromise type of thing? So, it's called the Empath Survival Guide, but personally, I think it would be a human taking care of yourself survival guide. Now, I don't have human children, but to me, that chapter where she's talking about being a parent could relate to people who work with children. I know when I worked in schools, I was very much aware of how I spoke to and interacted with kids, because you want to uplift them. You want to set them up for success. You want to encourage them, and you want them to recognize those things in themselves, keeping in mind, because with students, they're eventually going to go on without you. So, in the time that you have, make sure that they have the tools and the skills that they need to continue going on to be successful. So, this really was an enjoyable read. Like I say, I liked her writing. It's very easy to understand. It's interesting. She has it broken down into sections. Like the other book, she has quotes throughout that are helpful. I'm just noticing on this page, and I have circled, she has a comment here about never tolerate anyone shaming. And I think that's very important. I think we need to recognize, and I've mentioned this in a few of my other videos, the words we use, whether it's talking to ourselves and the messages that we're giving ourselves, or it's the words that we use talking to other people or describing other people. She has the affirmations, and it's a very enjoyable read. And like I say, I'll go more into depth about this in another video. At the back, there isn't really a summary. Does have a picture of her and then just quotes from other people who have enjoyed her work as well. So that was a good read. Now, these, and I'm just reaching over to my basket here. I haven't read these in a little bit, but I did read them again last year. So we have Shakti Gawain, Creative Visualization, and I've had this book for ages. There's a workbook that comes with it. I gifted that to someone else because I just prefer, yeah, see, I bought this June 2001. So I've had it for a little bit. And I've read it a few times. I love her writing style. It's easy to read and understand. It has a very nice flow. So she talks about what visualization is. She gives different exercises, different examples. She talks about affirmations. And again, the things, and these are the kinds of books I love. Other than purchasing the book, it doesn't cost you a ton of money to put this into effect in your life. She talks about meditation and affirmations. The other books did as well. Let me know your thoughts. I'm not a meditator, as in lay down, close my eyes, and meditate. For me, it's when I'm doing yard work or another activity, and I just kind of let my mind go. So it's something that I don't have to really sit and focus on, as in the activity, or even doing the dishes. And then I just let my mind wander, and that's when different things come to me. I don't know, I figure between sleep when your eyes are closed and you've zoned out the world, I just don't like doing that in the daytime. And that's just my personal thing. I do think there's benefit to meditation. I think there's just different ways to do it. And again, finding what works best for you. But she has a lot of great ideas in this book. I never had a chance to see her or go to one of her workshops. She's certainly a beautiful light that this world could definitely use. She is definitely missed. So on the back, it says, creative visualization is the art of using mental imagery and affirmation to produce positive changes in your life. It's being successfully used in the fields of health, education, business, athletics, and the creative arts. Shakti Gawain's classic guide teaches methods that are practical and easy to incorporate into daily life. These straightforward techniques can help you to use the power of your imagination to create what you want in your life, change your negative habit patterns, improve self-esteem, reach career goals, increase prosperity, develop creativity, increase vitality, and improve your health, experience deep relaxation, and more. I love books that you can easily incorporate into your daily life, and that's the type of thing I enjoy looking for. As I had in my video a few days ago with Louise Hay's book, instead of using it as an open find guidance, I enjoyed making my own deck of cards that I use. I included feathers from the birds in my area because feathers are a symbol for the east direction, our thoughts. And so it just made sense to put those together. But I definitely like Shakti, and she's got great ideas there. Her other book that I have is Living in the Light, and this is Follow Your Inner Guidance to Create a New Life and a New World. And this is the 25th anniversary edition. It's the first time that I had purchased it. I like this one because it isn't just different activities and ideas, it also talks about our shadow self. And some people get kind of confused and freaked out about that. And I think it's because sometimes they think of that Jekyll and Hyde. One side's really good and positive, and the other side is all uber dark and no restraint. And I don't think the other side of ourself is like that, or our shadow side. I think our shadow side is simply the part of us that we don't always bring forward, or we feel self-conscious about, or that worries us, or that needs some fine tuning. For example, if someone has a temper, or I'm trying to think. Temper is the one that sticks out the most because people express it differently and sometimes not always in a good way. But in order to be a whole light being, we have to accept all of ourselves, as someone says, warts and all. So instead of denying that shadow side, it's finding a way to recognize it and how to work with it. So if you have a temper, anger needs to be expressed, but there are positive and negative ways to do that. So learning those positive ways for sure. And, you know, accepting yourself entirely. So I really enjoy this book because she goes through talking about that shadow side and bringing it in so that you're a whole being. In other words, being in harmony with yourself and loving and accepting yourself. And that in turn means being able to send and shine that out to other people. So on the back, she has, are you searching for deeper meaning and purpose in your life? Do you sense that you have an inner wisdom that can be a guiding force for you, yet wonder how to connect that intuitive self? How do you know which inner voices to listen to? And I agree, that one's always a tricky. When do you follow your gut? Are you sitting and over questioning what have you? With great insight and clarity, Shakti shows us the transformative power of bringing awareness to every part of ourselves. Simple yet powerful exercises on subjects including creativity, relationships, parenting, health, money, and transforming the world help us put these teachings to practical use in our daily lives. So, again, a book that you can bring into every day, and it's easy to do. Again, once you've bought the book, you have the tools that you need. So Living in the Light is a comprehensive math, ugh, map to growth, fulfillment, and consciousness. As we grapple with personal, national, and global challenges on many fronts, this classic work is timelier than ever. And this even is a few years ago, but yet that applies. There's so many different things happening in our world. It's more important now than ever to keep ourselves grounded and being a positive force and a source of light, and to be the change that we want to see in the world. Just going to stop and read. Mm-hmm. And exactly, jealousy. And I mean, sadly, I think we see that in a lot of different ways, day to day, different things on social media. I think sadly, some of it is people people compare and then get caught up in um, they can't feel happy for people that are succeeding, or they want to tear them down because they're succeeding. They don't take responsibility for themselves and what's happening, so instead they end up lashing out at other people. Jealousy is a very difficult one, and again, part of that comes from not being good with who you are and where you're at right now. Because if you're living the dream, living your best life, totally happy and accepting of yourself, then there's really no reason to be jealous of anybody else because everyone has their own path and their own life, and that's okay. So yeah, there's a lot of different things to factor in, but once we focus on ourself and we're okay with us, and that takes a lot of work, and it takes work every single day. I mean, it isn't one of those, oh, I'll finish this program or I'll work through this book or I'll do this activity and boom, now I'm, one awesome person and that's the end of it. Because we always have setbacks, we have good days, we have bad days, especially on those bad days, whatever that is, whether it's because of physical issues, emotional issues, things completely out of our control. It is important on those days. Sorry, got a cough. Dry throat. It's important on those days to recognize we're having a bad day, and that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. Just got to get a drink. So one thing about live stream and talking. So it's, yeah, being good with who you are and where you're at. And if you've had a bad day, that's okay. That just makes you human. It doesn't make you bad. And, give yourself a bit of time and then that's all right. Like, you pick yourself up and you start again. It's it's just the way the world goes. So, yeah, and the insecurity, you're right, JP. It's also that, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not important enough, or I don't know enough. And it comes back to you just have to be good with who you are and where you're at and keep moving forward. The last book that I wanted to talk about today was about personal power through awareness. And this is Sanaya Roman. And this again is, I enjoy her writing. She has also left us, I think, a year and a bit ago. Now, Sanaya's work is different than the others in that it's channeled work from an entity she referred to as Orin, is who she channeled. And this is, I enjoy it. She has a great writing style. She also has sayings and affirmations that stand out. There's activities at the end of each chapter. And basically, this book is about taking back your own power. So, not having other people determine what's important or who you are, and being aware of yourself and kind to yourself. So, it's another book that I definitely recommend. I've done a video on her, but I may be doing some updates of some of the older videos I did just because there's different things now that I know about in terms of editing and backgrounds and making them a bit more interesting. And her book, It's Funny, was one of the books recommended in the Celestine Prophecy. And it was really funny because years ago, as I was going through the Celestine, I had a pile of books that I needed to start reading. And it turned out Personal Power Through Awareness was sitting at the top. So again, just those connections, I always find it fascinating and interesting. But it's a book that I definitely enjoyed and would recommend. So the other thing I was going to talk about was journals. And there's so many, and I mean, these books also lend themselves to journaling and talk about the importance of journaling. I'm definitely a fan of journaling. I've been doing it since I was 10 or 11. I don't have all of my journals when I got married. All of those old journals went on their way because changing and all of that. And I'm lucky I grew up in a time before social media, so there's nothing ever going to come up from some of the stupid I did as a kid. There's no video, there's no cell phone of any of that stuff. But I cleared out my journals and I continued journaling since I've been married. And then it was last year, maybe the year before. I know it's been a while anyhow, because I had my journals and I'd kept them. Part of me thought I'd go back through them. I keep my dream journals because there's different symbols and things that come up there. Take care, JD. Thanks so much for popping in. So I've kept my dream journals because I have symbols and different things, and I want to kind of look back over those because I have found with my dream journaling, there are things that come up and make sense and have connections. But with my day to day journaling, with one of them anyhow, it was just more to get stuff out of my head. And then it wasn't always twirling around up there. So if I ran into a situation or something was frustrating me or irritating me, then I would sit and journal about it. And I'd write till I was, calmer or figured I had it dealt with. And because no one else was going to see it, I could say whatever I wanted, use whatever terms I wanted, wasn't worrying about spelling or anything. I was just getting it out of my brain. So, what I did a few years ago is I had all of them and they shredded every single one of them. So now the only journals I have, so yeah, it would have been 2 years ago. So now all I have is 2 years worth of journal entries. And I'm good with that because the old journals, to me, it's old energy. There were old frustrations, different things going on. There were some good things as well, but it was mostly for venting, just to get it off my brain. And I decided, well, why do I want all that energy sitting around? Because it's just sitting there. So I just cleared them all up and got rid of them. And I'll do that again in a few years. But I do think it's something important and to keep in mind. Do you ever journal or do your clients journal, JP? I see everybody else has left, so it's you and me. But yeah, so I still do it. I think there's so much benefit whether you do it with words or with pictures, however works for you. Some people do it on a computer. I personally don't because I think it's no journals there. I think it's important to do it by hand. Um, but some people are comfortable with tech. I wouldn't do it on technology just because, different things get hacked or what have you. And with a paper copy, that way you can get rid of it whenever and nobody else is going to see it. I mean, you have to be mindful if you live with other people. In my house, I don't have to worry about it, but sadly, there's someone I know who would like to journal but doesn't because they're concerned about someone else reading it. And that's unfortunate because it's an activity that would be healthy for them, but that's a whole other ball of wax. But well, I was going to go through some of the journals, but I'm not sure. We're past an hour now, and I don't think most people would watch the stream into this point. So maybe I'll leave the journals for the next stream. What do you think, JP? Because, like I say, I've seen people pop in and out, but only you and JD have commented. So I'm not sure who else kind of popped in to say hi. And I guess others were busy, or I don't know. Maybe the content just isn't interesting to some. It's my playpen. Perhaps. Yeah, we'll have to see. And I don't know. With the live streams, the Saturdays seem to be as quiet as the Friday. So we'll have to just see. I don't know if maybe trying a different day through the week or a different time on Saturday, but I don't know. It's such a crapshoot because there's so many different live streams out there, and no matter when you time it or when you plan it, you're going to conflict with somebody at some time for sure. So we'll have to see. I mean, I'm kind of doing my chit chat. I'm enjoying connecting, and now I have you and JD who are enjoying it. Maybe I should just leave it on Saturdays. Does Saturday work just as good for you? I mean, it works for me at this time, but we'll have to decide. I'll have to decide. May even try it at a different time on a Saturday. We'll have to see what happens. But yeah, like I say, okay, so Saturday is good. Yeah, and that, well, see, now that you mention that, I'm wondering, do I do the Hoax Holy Grail as videos or do I do the Hoax Holy Grail as live streams? And here's the thing, I'm thinking, and I'm just now thinking as you made the comment, so thank you, JP, when Ouija Brothers and some of the others, Mark, Dead Cold, when they first show their videos or upload them, they actually do them as live streams. So viewers can comment and they're watching that video at the same time. So if I put together, say, a video on, I'm thinking Fox Sisters first, then the Hoax or Holy Grail series could be the live stream. 1 week maybe, and then books another week. Now you've given me some food for thought. Because I could do a bookish content live stream for the people who are interested in the bookish content, and maybe keep that more towards the self-help, uplifting, other types of books, because I'd still like to talk about the fiction and other books, and then have another live stream just strictly Hoax or Holy Grail, and that would be the video. Yeah, definitely have to give that some thought. Yep, now I'm going to have to ponder that. Okay, well, since I think because it was just basically, I'm just looking, it was just basically doing journals and different things like that I was going to talk about. Yeah, I think so. I'm definitely going to have to weigh that out for sure. I have to write some notes and figure out and see where things are going. I'd say I could put it into the community post. Well, I've got a few more people, I think, checking in. So maybe figuring that out and see if I get some responses there as well. True. Books are more personal. Yeah, I'll have to ponder. And I mean, that's the thing about YouTube and all of this, either videos or live streaming. It's all kind of a crapshoot, and and the funny thing is, some days some things work great, and a couple weeks later you could do something very similar and doesn't work at all. So you just kind of got to go with the flow and not take it personally. That's for sure. But yeah, I think I'll definitely ponder that. And with some of the books, I mean, I can introduce them during a live stream and then do like I did with George Newry and some of the others, kind of do a deeper dive into the book. So for the live stream, if I have like say five or eight, no, five or well, I don't know. It depends on the topic and the number of books that I would have, but I could introduce them during the live stream, give a little bit of a snippet, get people to comment whether they've read them or similar authors, and then do a more in-depth video about the book for people who maybe don't like going to lives or haven't tried out live streams, and then they can just watch the video portion. I think that may be what I end up doing. Yeah, I'll have to contemplate it. Well, JP, as always, it has been a pleasure, and thank you so much for being here. You are definitely my loyal live stream viewer, so thank you so much for that. Someday we may have some others join in with us. Like I say, I'm not sure what time it was for Karen, and well, I'm pretty sure Dan's busy and he could even be live streaming elsewhere on a gaming live or something. I know he's got a lot on his plate, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And someday we'll get a few more people in here chatting with us. But I have to admit, I do enjoy that this isn't the chat box isn't going uber crazy fast. And this way I can keep up and pause and acknowledge it. So thank you so much for your comments. I definitely appreciate you being here and sharing your time. Oh, glad you enjoyed. Thank you so much. Well, I'm going to call it a live, and we will chat either through the comments. This coming week was supposed to be Friday. I'll put something in the community tab as I'm playing around in my head to see whether we're going to keep this a Friday, Saturday mix or time. But I'll keep you posted for sure in terms of the community post. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great one.